You're watching the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Salah to settle it!
Yes, good morning and welcome back to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. It's been a while since I've been on my own channel, to be honest. It's been at least since last Tuesday that you've seen me on here. But here we are. I'm back from Tenerife and I'm back in rainy Liverpool to preview this massive game at what is the start of a crucial month for Liverpool. Will they get into the top four? If you're asking me that right now, it's a very blurry answer, if I'm honest. But City on Saturday, Chelsea on Tuesday night, and then Arsenal next Saturday. Even more tough, that one. Before we get into this match preview, remember to absolutely smash that like button. Make sure you comment with your lineup predictions, your score predictions, and of course subscribe to the Kop TV if you haven't already. This close to 30,000 people, so make sure you do it. Of course, we're previewing today Manchester City versus Liverpool, and there genuinely is no one else in the whole world that I'd rather preview this game with than the man, the legend that is Big Steve, MCFC. How are we, fella? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm glad club football's back. I had to even bite the bullet and go to England and Ukraine on Sunday because I was missing football that much. But yeah, I'm ready for it now. You've got a tough month coming up, but we're on it now. We've got the business end of the season. We're fighting on three fronts. Yeah, I'm ready for it. Fully charged and ready to go.
Before we speak about Liverpool, I wanted to get your opinion on City this season. I mean, you mentioned it's the business end. This is kind of the same time every year that City come alive and know what they need to do. How do you think the season ends for City? Just from a pure interest point for me. I mean, at the start of the season, I guess I thought there would be Liverpool City going at it. It hasn't gone that way. But as you say, business end of the season. How does this season end for City, Steve?
Well, and you're not going to hear many people say it in Manchester, but we're on for a treble. I know we don't like gassing it up, but we've just got to win trophies, haven't we? The two big ones there, the Premier League and the Champions League, not disrespecting the FA Cup at all, but
yeah,
I mean, we've had a bit of a transitional period this season. And what I mean by that is we've played with the false nine last few years. It's worked. We've won the league. We've brought in a number nine, traditional number nine. Started the season great. People got onto him a little bit. And then they stifled his play. And we had a bit of a lull mid-season, which has cost us. That's why we're 8 points behind Arsenal now. We dropped points in stupid games, lost daft games. But looking at the last 10 games, we're undefeated. Haaland's scoring at a mad rate. He's finally getting involved in the play. The players are trying different things to find him. I mean, there was even talk about him like making us worse, which is just unbelievable. But people
don't believe
like to
that.
waffle. But at the end of the day, mate, we're there or thereabouts. And what I said in the middle of the season when we were going through a rough patch is if we can keep on the coattails of Arsenal till the business end, we've got a chance. We've chased Liverpool down before. We chased Man United down before, and we've come out on top. So, you know, we've ridden our luck a little bit over the last few years, just limping over the line last season. You know, is our luck going to run out this season? I don't know. But as a City fan, I'm confident we can definitely take it to the wire.
And as a Liverpool fan, I am too, because I'm looking at Arsenal 8 points clear right now. Listen, every person in football's got to tip their hat to what they've done this season. I don't think any of us, even the biggest Arsenal fans that I know, would have ever expected anything like this from them. However, they're there, so you've got to respect it. But the question is, can they finish the job off? And that's why I look at City and think, well, they've been there, they've done it. It's pretty much the only excuse, if you want to call it that I'm holding on to right now, bro, because the people that I work with, I'm not too keen on Arsenal winning the league, to be honest. But
to be honest, with City, I said it last night on a stream, there's no real dark hole in this title race you can drag us down to because we've been there before.
Muscle memory.
The only thing that we need to see from Arsenal is if they take a knock on this final hurdle, can they get back up and carry on going? You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of the fan base is really, really nervous about it. They're saying they're not, but they are. The City fan base aren't. We could get beat off Liverpool at weekend. Still the same agenda. Keep going. You know, we could be 2-0 down against Liverpool, but we know we can come back. I just don't I don't know. I don't know. You've got to give them credit for where they are in the league. They're top by 8 points. We've got a game in hand. We've still got to play them.
Yeah.
We just got to be ready to pounce if they do make a mistake. We just can't let them get back up.
Yeah, and obviously they've got to come to Anfield as well next weekend. So I'm guessing you'll be watching that one with a keen eye. But a couple of comments to get into here. Big up Jungle is massive. Saying nice to see you back, Alex. Big up the Kop TV, remaining hopeful for top 4, but got to be realistic too. We'll speak about that a little bit more. Jungle is massive. Also saying muscle memory kicks in for City at this stage. And again, there's rumours that maybe Haaland's going to be out for this one. Haaland touch and go, according to his dad. He was interviewed by Norwegian TV, I think. He goes on to say City just know how to do it. They've bored in the championship rounds. They know how to get the job done. I'm not too sure what that means, but big up to Kazi as well. 3 draws and 2 losses for Liverpool for the 5 games at lunchtime kickoff this season. Yeah, it's definitely not a good time to play. 12:30 whenever we do play. Julian Alvarez masterclass saying moment. So touching on Haaland, I mean, we've spoken about it on Hot Topics yesterday. Big up to Mario and Keo who took that over for me in my absence. But they were talking about that interview that Alf Haaland did. Did you manage to see that? And what did you make of the quotes there? And is this maybe a situation that Fergie used to do a lot, where during the week in the build up to the game, he'd say that X player is injured, but then they play? Where do you see it? And would you want him to play, considering I don't think he's trained for 2 weeks?
It's a tough decision for us. I mean, there's definitely some substance in it because them 2 games for Norway were massive. So, and he's the main man there. So if I miss them, he definitely don't want to risk something.
Spain as well. He would have.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I think he's looking at the bigger picture. He's got Champions League. He's got the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley, and he's got this title running. So if it's City and we have to take a knock for a couple of weeks and rest him, and we get him back for the rest of the campaign, I think we'll do that. You know, there's not a lot of pictures coming out of the ground with him training or anything like that. So I don't know. I really don't know. We're in the dark as well as you. I mean, it'd be a shame for him not to play the form he's on, but like you say, I wouldn't risk him. We need him for the rest of the running and the rest of the competitions.
So does he get on the bench for you, maybe? Comes on last 20?
Maybe, yeah, that might be an answer where we put him on the bench and listen, if we're struggling and we need to go for it, get him on the pitch, you know. But Alvarez, he's coming into his own a little bit. I don't think he's a main number 9 striker. I think we'd probably have to go back to a false 9. But Alvarez is still a little bit rough around the edges. He's not the complete package, but he's dangerous. You know what I mean? He's busy. I don't think Verge and the boys would want him. He's like a wasp. You know what I mean? He's in and around you. Whereas Erling, you know what you get with Erling. They've played him before, so I don't know. The unexpected Alvarez could start and Haaland on the bench, or Haaland might surprise us all and be leading the line and be fit. Yeah,
no, I really agree with your points on Alvarez. I'm a big fan of his. I saw him a fair bit in the World Cup. And I guess you're right. It's a great point you make, where I think with Haaland, you can keep your distance with him. You can know where he is. Obviously, Virgil will want to make contact with him at all time, keep him locked down. But you're right. Alvarez can slip in, can slip out.
Foden's definitely injured. He's had his appendix out. So
yeah, I heard. That's a nasty one. Massive shout out to Curtis Shaw in the chat. You'll never walk alone this weekend. Obviously, Arsenal fans.
What about next weekend, Curtis? You'll never walk alone next weekend as well, yeah.
Well, listen, Arsenal haven't won at Anfield in the league since 2011, I think. So they might be walking alone next weekend again. Who knows? April Fool's Day, this one as well. Is this an April Fool's Day joke, Steve, that Haaland isn't fit because it's April 1st that we play?
I hope so.
Honestly, it'd be a great one if it was. Foden and Haaland supposed to be injured. Doubt it though. Pep and his mind games. Foden's definitely out. Like you don't just wake up from an appendix surgery and be ready to go. People, there's no way. Alvarez under any other team is an absolute superstar. What a player! I do think he goes on to be a superstar at City. He's just signed a massive deal for the next 5 years. I actually think he is potentially. I know Argentina have had a lot of strikers that have kind of, what's the right word here, played in the shadow of Messi a bit. So I'm talking about your Agueros, your what's his name, Higuain's. There's loads of strikers that haven't really been that main man at Argentina because Messi has. But I think when Messi slowly, finishes up at Argentina, I do think Alvarez is maybe the man to take them forward, and he's still so young as well.
He's played him right this season. He came in with Haaland. He's won the World Cup. He's not getting too big for his boots. Most players win the World Cup, they want to be number one. I don't think he knows where his place is in the team. It's his first season in the Prem. He's scoring goals. He's getting minutes on the pitch. We need him for this title running. And he's gone under the radar this season. It's been perfect because Erling's took all the pressure. Pressure's on Erling. Do you know what I mean? He's the spearhead for the attack. Everyone's focusing on him, and Alvarez is doing his business. It can't be easy coming into England, a young kid. I know all his family's over here. We see him every away game. We get on the train at Manchester. The whole Alvarez clan, the mum, the dad, the granddad, the dog, the gerbil, they're all on the they're all on the carriage going to the game, man. They love it. They're living the dream with a son in England, and it's good to see. And this kid's a humble kid. I have got a soft spot for the South American players. I just think they're built different. I think they're hungry, they're aggressive, they want it more, you know what I mean? And he comes in, and every time he plays, it's like it's his first ever game on a football pitch. And Alvarez's time's going to come. And eventually, I think they'll find a way of getting them both in the team.
That's scary if they do. And there's also a little bit of Gabby Jesus that maybe he walks around with a little bit of this. Listen, I know I'm not the main man, but when I am called upon, trust me, you can put me on the right, the left, through the middle, and I'll run. I do find a little bit of a Gabby Jesus in him, and I actually thought that if Gabby stayed at City, he would have become the main man. But obviously, his connections with Pep, with
Erling coming in. There's nobody. Erling's best number 9 in the world. There's nobody being the main man there without him. So, and the thing is, with Jesus, he tried to be the Aguero man, but it didn't quite work. We were playing false 9 without him. He was putting him on the wing a lot. So he deserved to go somewhere and be the main man. So he's gone to Arsenal to be the main man, which is, full credit to him. And everyone at City wished him all the best.
Absolutely. Street footballers, that's why we love South Americans. We've got our own South American coming back this weekend in Luis Diaz. Obviously been injured with an MCL injury since October. He came back in Dubai training camp in in December and did the same injury again. So he's had such bad luck. Looking at Liverpool's team, Steve, I mean, rolling back the years, we have done well against City, maybe not at the Etihad, apart from that Champions League win and the win in 2015, the 4-1 when Klopp just joined. We haven't had much luck away from home, but then at the neutral ground / Anfield, we've almost had City's number when you look at the FA Cup semi last year at Wembley, the Community Shield, obviously beat you at Anfield earlier on in the season. What is it about Liverpool that City find difficult? I mean, we find it, everyone finds it difficult to play City, but I feel like when we turn up, especially at Anfield or Wembley, like I said, how do you feel like City need to approach this game, knowing that the record against Liverpool isn't the best in the last few years? Obviously, you have beat us at the Etihad this season in the Carabao Cup, but how do you feel going into this one?
Listen, the Anfield games are right off for us every season. There's 2 games every season that I know we lose. It's Tottenham away, never scored a goal there. And Anfield, I'd say it before, we just can never do it there when the fans are there. It just never happens. And then Liverpool and City, because of the rivalry and that, they both respect each other. You can see it. The way we play sometimes, suits you. You do get in and about us. I think that even at the Etihad this season when we won, Darwin Núñez had 3 or 4 where he could have scored. Last season in the 2-2, I think we should have won it, but didn't finish you off near the end. Mahrez, great chance, missed it. We had the penalty at Anfield that time, didn't happen. So, the semi-final last year, we were patched up to death then. We'd just been battered in Madrid off Atletico. We had Fernandinho running about at centre-half and Laporte strapped up and that Zach Steffen in net and that. So, I'll take that. But I just think at the Etihad this season, the way we're playing at the minute, 10, we've not lost in the last 10. I'm just confident going into it that. And Liverpool, you don't know who's turning up. If the Man United 7-0 Liverpool turn up, it's going to be a game. If the Bournemouth away Liverpool turn up, then City dominate it. So listen, I mean, you guys will be more. I know what City's going to turn up, the same City that is on this roll. So I know we're going to play well. But you guys you just don't got a clue at the minute this season. Who's turning up?
It's a great question, mate. Who is going to turn up? I don't know. And this early kickoff curse that we've got, again, I don't want to make excuses, but it never ends well when we play so early on in the day. But if City win this one, you close the gap to Arsenal to 5 points, and you've obviously got to play them. They've got to come to us. It's so quick how it can turn, right? Because if you win this one and then we beat them next week, because that would be typical Liverpool. It would be lose this one and then beat Arsenal and then beat Chelsea and then lose to Watford or someone like that the week after. That's just typical. But if that does happen and you beat Liverpool this week and we beat Arsenal next week, you're looking now at a very, very, very small gap between the two teams. And I guess it's all about momentum at that stage, who goes on and wins it. But are you surprised with how Liverpool have maybe tailed off this season? Because again, as I said at the start of the show, you and I both would have said that it would be City and Liverpool going for the big one. So are you surprised really about Liverpool's fall off?
Well, you think of Liverpool last season, they were talking about a quad up until late
2
in the
games
season.
away from it.
That's what I mean. So you go from that to where you are now. It's a big drop off. You know what I mean? It is a big drop off. You're looking at the team. It's relatively the same team, but there's some players that have dropped off. I mean, Big Verge is not the same guy as he's been. I think people need to admit that. I think that Fabinho looks like he's aged to me about 5 years. I think Mo Salah, since he signed the contract, has not been the Mo Salah before. You've been unlucky with injuries. Darwin Núñez got a lot of pressure on his shoulders this season, but to be honest, I think Darwin will come good. I think there's a player in there. I think he just needed maybe a season. He can't hide at Liverpool. It's not like Alvarez can come in and float about and do what he's doing at City. He can't hide, Darwin. And after the Charity Shield, when they were comparing him with Haaland, the press, they were always going to be on his neck. But I think there's a few... I mean, some games when I watch Liverpool in the midfield, you've got Milner and Carvalho and Hendo still in there and that. And Ox is playing every now and then. And you think they shouldn't be around the team. I know that they're legends in their own right. And I know they've done well for Liverpool. But there comes a time where you've got to freshen it up. And City's been good at that. We've let David Silva go. And everyone said, you need to give him another season. But no, it was the right time. From a football perspective, we knew. We let Yaya go. We let Fernandinho go. But we had replacements. We had Foden coming through. We had Rodri coming through. You know, so we had players in the background. I don't think Liverpool have that at the minute. I mean, the young kid, is he called Basic or whatever he's called? Yeah, he looks really good player. But has he been thrown in a little bit too early? I don't know. I just think Jurgen's probably got a bit of a job this summer. You know, if he goes out and spends 130 on Bellingham, then I don't think that fixes the problem. I think you've got a great player for the next 15 years, but I think you're going to take another season on the chin to sacrifice that. Where does he spend 130 on 3 players? Does he mix it up and bring 3 quality players in? And then he makes Liverpool better. Because Liverpool ain't a bad team. You look around the squad, it's a great squad. It just needs tinkering. And the background squad, to me, has always been not as good. City's always been able to pull in people off the bench, world class. Foden don't play, Mahrez comes in. Grealish don't play, Bernardo comes in. You know, when you've got James Milner coming on in important games and things like that, that's when you know you like. So I just think they're a bit light, and I think it's going to be a big summer for Liverpool, and you just got to trust the manager to get it right.
It's a great explanation, really. I totally agree with you, and I feel like echoing what you just said there, this summer for Liverpool, I would say personally is the biggest summer in the last 7 years in terms of maybe not on the pitch, but in terms of every day that goes by in this transfer window when it opens in the summer. We have to get every day right. There is no room for getting one transfer wrong or keeping hold of one player now where we shouldn't, buying the wrong player. Everything has to be right. And in terms of our strategy going into this Bellingham race, in terms of if we miss out on him, who else are we going to get? This all has to be already planned. We can't go into this summer like a headless chicken, because we're just going to come out the other side even further away than we are now, and how far we've slipped away this season. So do we get the Judes? Do we go in and maybe get a couple of other players instead? Who knows? Just jumping in back into the comments here. Luis Diaz for City would be perfect. I don't think he starts the game. I think you trust Gakpo and Nunes on that side maybe to start, and then you bring in Luis Diaz. Still no news on Thiago, by the way, people. We've been really frustrated with this injury in terms of, we were told that it was a 4-weeker. It's now been about eight weeks, I think, since he's played a game, and there's still no pictures of him training. So, you know,
is he the same player?
There you go.
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of players that seem to go a bit stale. You know, we had it when we were going for them leagues. We had one or two that they want the same. So it's time to get rid. It's just whether, you know, fans, we got attached. If you look at the way City cut off Company and Yaya, David Silva, Joe Hart, Sergio Aguero, it was pretty ruthless, but it was right. And every City player at the time was moaning. Every City fan at the time was moaning, going, David Silva deserves a 1 year. And that's where these clubs fall for the legend status, because they think they deserve a 1. James Milner deserves a 1 year. No, he doesn't. James Milner shouldn't be anywhere near Liverpool's team. I'm sorry, he shouldn't. He shouldn't be anywhere near it now. He's had his day. He's finished. And that's what happens. Say Fabinho, if you can't compete at that level if you can't bring that level back and you've dropped off, which happens. Yaya Toure was massive. One season he's dragging defenders around his neck and scoring goals. To drop off the season after, you've just got to be ruthless. And that's when you need someone at the football club to say, look, we're not giving him a contract. He's got to go. And you've got to freshen it up.
No, we've got to be way more ruthless than we have been this season. I think Keita, Ox, Milner. The only problem is with being ruthless with these kind of players is we're letting them all go for free. It's not like we can make any dough. And this is
the thing with, like,
that's a mistake from last year and the year before. You know.
Yeah, you need, but there's some good free transfers knocking about in the summer. You know, there's players. So if you get the wages off the bill, you could maybe steam into a few of them. I just think what Liverpool, they don't want to undo the hard work that they've done, because the last few years they've been neck and neck with Man City. They've been challenging for titles and they've been getting to Champions League finals and things like that. They don't want to become an unattractive proposition to a player, because like a Jude Bellingham, if Liverpool are in the Champions League and he's a Liverpool fan and his dad's a fan and all that, then he's probably going to lean towards Liverpool because he can see where you want to go. But you look at Liverpool now, if from outside he's thinking, hold on a minute, it's not quite got a plan. If I go in there, I might be the main man, but I might be another Stevie Gerrard. I might be the main man in there, but I've not got the same quality around me. If I slide into Man City here, I've got Erling Haaland there. They're going to sign him. They're in the last rounds of this, that, and the other. Go Real Madrid. So it suddenly becomes, Liverpool don't become as attractive, you know what I mean, as it should be. So they've got to maintain that standard of player to keep them up there with the rest, because Man United's going to spend. Yeah. Newcastle are spending. Chelsea are just unreal with the spending. So, you know, they can't be left behind, Liverpool.
No, it's a great point, and I totally agree with you again. Big up AGT and Big Steve. Big Steve is very level-headed. Respect. That's why he's on the channel. By the way, I can't read every single comment out. Big up to everyone who's sending them in. But if you do want your comment to be read out, like Jen, who's always supporting the channel, always sending in super chats, please do that. If you can afford it, it goes straight back in to the channel, paying for studio, etc., etc. So massive shout out to Jen. A couple of other comments here. If we're serious this summer, we should go after Bellingham, Mount, Ugarte, and Vardiol. Again, not too keen on Mason Mount, if I'm honest. That's just me being honest. But again, let me know in the comments.
Is he on a free, Mount? Is he on a free?
I think he's got a year left, or 6 months left. In fact, it might be a free. I know Rabiot. We could go in for Rabiot and get him for free.
He's a free,
in the summer. Have to disagree, Steve. I've seen a lot of youth lads on City's bench. Liam Delap, Cole Palmer, etc., and so on.
Yeah, Delap's been on loan for a season. He's never coming back to City again.
Cole,
no, he's never coming back. He's not good enough.
Okay.
Cole Palmer was brilliant up until he got injured last year against Swindon. He's been on the bench, not really playing. He needs a loan. There is a big myth about City having this great second squad. We do have a good bench, a solid bench, but there's a lot of youth players on there. But our academy at the minute is is unbelievable. It's thriving like mad. You only had to see the money we got in on the summer off them, 130 odd million on academy players that had never played. Got Romeo Lavia turning it up at Southampton, who we got a buyback on him. Their goalkeeper Bazunu, we got 16 million for him. Never kicked a ball for us. So we've got.
And he's starting for Ireland, isn't he?
Yeah, we've got a young lad started for Australia, full international the other day. Robertson, absolute great player. We've got a kid, Seamus Neary, I think he's called. He's playing for Northern Ireland, full team, but he's in Manchester City's under 23s. It's like there's some quality underneath, but if they're not, the tough decision with City is if they're not quite Manchester City quality ready, then we have to make a tough decision. So what we do is we sell them cheap, but we get a buyback and a sell-on clause. It works both ways. Look at Romeo Lavia. He wasn't quite, we didn't think he was up to Rodri's standard. So we let him go to Southampton. We bought Calvin Phillips. You look at Lavia now, he's arguably probably, people would say he's better than Phillips. So maybe get him back.
And there's that Celta Vigo midfielder that you're looking at for the summer as well, isn't there?
Yeah, they reckon they're really keen into him. Just got to worry a bit with a few of the young Spanish lads when they come to City, and that the Manchester weather scares a few of them back to Barcelona in about a year. So we need to make sure they're toughened up.
we got the same issue here.
I know.
Massive shout out to my Spanish brother Raul. Steve, is the Premier League done if City don't get 3 points? That's a great question. Nice one, Raul.
No, because it's in the hands of them, innit? So we just got to keep doing it. If we don't get 3 points, if we get a point, I'll take it. We just need Arsenal to get beat at Liverpool, maybe Newcastle, maybe Chelsea. I think there's loads of twists and turns coming. There's loads coming up. There's going to be madness happening. It happened last season. It's going to happen. It's going to happen this season. So I'm just waiting for them nerves to kick in Saturday morning.
Honestly, last year, and you were probably the same, but this time last year, let's say April and May, did you even enjoy games that you watched? Because I didn't. It was hot. I've never in my life been to that many games in that shorter space where it was Premier League, FA Cup, Champions League, League Cup final in such a short period where I didn't enjoy them because every single game was that important. And it wasn't as if every game that we won, we went a few points clear, we had breathing space. This was just to get back level with you, basically. It wasn't necessarily going ahead of you. And it was just a horrible, exciting, very, very incredible, really, when you look at all the competition.
At one point, you were 14 points behind, and you lost the gate. You lost the league on the last day. So you've got to believe. That's why no Manchester City fan is never ever going to throw the towel in. We've seen it. We was 8 points behind Man United with 6 games to go and won it. So we've been 2-0 down to Villa, won it. 2-1 down to QPR, won it. So for a Man City fan, it's just not in our way to now throw the towel in. I don't think unless it's mathematically impossible, you're not going to get any City fan that's going to say it's over.
And that's the kind of winning mentality that you've built up in the last 10 years, really. It's almost like that Real Madrid mentality. If you score...
Because for 30 years, we had that typical City mentality where we just shit ourselves all the time and thought we were getting beat. So it makes a good change that the fans are actually positive. And I always try to keep it positive. I don't believe there's any...
You are very positive, to be fair. Whenever I see you coming out of the stadium after a loss, you put on your story, very honest, back into this next week. That's how
you got to roll with it. There's not a lot I can see. As a Man City fan from back in the day in the old school, I've seen a lot worse at times. So it's a privilege. I was walking over the bridge coming out of the ground the other week, and I think we drew. And this guy was moaning. And I said to him, how many times in the last 10 years have you walked over this bridge unhappy? And he went, what? I went, how many times have you walked over this bridge unhappy? He went, not many. I said, well, there you fucking go. And I said, well, 30 years ago, every single week, every single Monday morning in work, it was a nightmare. I went, you just got to, it is what it is. We're a fantastic team. You don't win every game of football. You take it on the chin. And as long as we're going in the right direction, then we keep moving.
Listen, summed it up perfectly. Let's get into the lineup prediction for Liverpool, and you can tell me how City are going to line up after. Alisson will be in goal. It will be Trent. It will be Konate, who had a good game for France the other night. Another clean sheet for him. and it will be Van Dijk and it will be Robertson. I'm not totally against Tsimikas getting more minutes, but I think in this game especially, the lineup almost makes itself. The only bit that I can't really decide on is this midfield, Steve, and you know yourself how these games are won and lost in midfield. You guys are going to have such a strong, maybe the best midfield in the league for this game. Whereas for me, bro, I can't even pick one at the minute. I mean, Henderson, again, in my opinion, he needs to become the new Milner next season in the way that he's not getting week in, week out minutes, but he almost replaces Milner as that leader in the dressing room, which he already is, of course. But again, the hands are tied because there's no one else. So I think he plays. And I think you're looking at a mix of Fabinho, who again has fallen off a cliff this year. You're looking at, I mean, if we had Thiago, I'd play him. That performance that he gave Liverpool fans in that semi-final at Wembley was unbelievable. It's one of the best midfield performances I've seen. But he's not going to be around, obviously. So do you go with... I hate to say it, but do you go with an Ox? Do you go with a Milner? Do you go with a Keita? 3 of these lads that aren't going to be playing for Liverpool next season. Do you go with a Harvey Elliott? Do you go with a Carvalho who scored at the Etihad in that Carabao Cup game in December? I can't really pick, if I'm honest, but I mean that must make you feel a lot more confident. And then up front, it will be Gakpo, Nunes and Salah, with Luis Diaz to come off the bench, with Firmino to come off the bench, with Jota. This is the only time this season, really, that we've had all 6 forward players back and ready to choose from. But let me know in the comments, who do we go with in the midfield? Is it a 2-man? Is it a 3-man? Let me know right now, and we'll get into it before the end of the show. But Steve, who is City going to be playing on Saturday? I want to call it morning. It's just about this Saturday afternoon. But who does City line up with on this one?
We've got a bit of a dilemma as well. I was talking about it last night with the right back situation. Obviously, we've been playing John Stones at right back, but Kyle Walker for me is needed against Liverpool because we don't want to repeat the Cancelo situation where he gets spun. I see Walker's pace is phenomenal, and we need him to stay at fullback. Watched him on Sunday against Ukraine. Mudrik's pace, one-on-one with Walker every time. Walker beat him every time. So for me, I think we're going to go Ederson in goal. I think it'll be Nathan Ake at left back. I think it'll be John Stones, Ruben Diaz centre back, and Kyle Walker right back. I think Rodri will play in DM, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva in the middle, maybe Gundogan, but I think Bernardo for the energy. Left will be Jack Grealish. I think up front will be Erling Haaland, and on the right hand side it will be Riyad Mahrez.
So you're going Haaland to start this one?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. After all that?
Yeah, I think so.
He hasn't trained for 2 weeks.
I think so. I think the guy, the way he lives his life and that, I think you don't know what he's been doing behind closed doors, to be honest. So, you know, I'll be surprised if he's not been doing sprints and running and making sure he's all right. Yeah,
well, as we titled up the Hot Topics podcast yesterday, we said Haaland was touch and go, only because his dad said it. And we believed his dad, but if Big Steve's saying he's going to start, then... His
dad's full of shit, man. His dad's full of shit. He's always talking about Real Madrid and dropping the odd thing in here and there. I think his dad likes to mix it up, but...
Yeah.
I think his dad was in Norway on Norwegian TV and had to justify why his son wasn't playing for Norway in the 2 biggest games of the qualifiers. So I think that's why his dad did that.
This is the thing. With all these quotes, with all these interview little clips, you've got to take it all into context because... He's not in Manchester saying that, where he could probably go a little bit easier. He's in Norway, where they're all looking to him like, hang on, we're not going to win these games now because Haaland's not playing. Why is he not playing? But then if he does start on Saturday, surely the Norwegian fans are going to be fuming, no?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. Yeah, he's the main man. It's like he's got the hopes of a nation on his shoulders, isn't it? They want to go to World Cups and stuff, Euros. So, yeah, it's bad if you're turning up in your club side and the country. It's... You know, there's always been that row, hasn't there, club and country?
Always.
It's mad.
Big up to Nick Saunders, who says, Eddie, Walker, Diaz, Stones, Ake, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez, Alvarez, Grealish. Slightly different, Big Steve, to your one.
Could be Alvarez, could be Gundogan in the midfield. Yeah. I just think Bernardo Silva for the energy. He rubs Liverpool up a little bit different as well. They don't like him after the coffee gate. So... I always like him in there, shithousing his way around that midfield. But I'm looking for. I'm actually working tomorrow for Manchester City, and I might be pitch side. So I don't know what I'm doing. Whether I'll be just interviewing people pitch side, and then I'll go up to the studio, watch the game in the commentary thing with them. So I'm looking forward to it. They called me last week, so it's a bit different for me being in the South Stand with the lads and that. But I don't know. It might be the last time they have me back if I'm jumping around like a balloon in the commentary gantry. But it is what it is.
No, do you know what? Regardless of which team it is, it's great to see a lot of creators out there right now who are managing to kind of build that relationship with the club. I think what you're doing for City is great. They're obviously looking at people like you and mainly yourself to say, well, these guys are the real voices. Let's get them in. So it's great to see you working with the club, man. Just like it is to see Flex working with United. It is a dream. Like they, you know, I've been working on it for a while, trying to put the work in with the channel, get them to see it. And they invited me to interview Ian Rush recently, abseiling down the stadium. So you never take that for granted. Listen, whenever I walk into Anfield, whether it's for work or to watch the game, and for you the same when you walk into the Etihad, don't ever, and I know you'd agree with me on this, we can never take those moments for granted because we dreamed of this. We literally dreamed of this. So for you to be working with the club, listen, if you are jumping around scoring after a last minute winner, then in a way, I'll be happy for you because you know you're doing big stuff, man. So big up. I've talked about it a fair bit on the Kop TV Discord. By the way, the link for that Discord is in the chat right now. But I want us to try 5 at the back. Klopp won't do it though. Big up to you, Kazi, which actually means something different in the north, doesn't it, Steve? The Kazi, toilet. Jungle is massive. Mad, all the players Steve's just named. It's like Football Manager. Yes, we're not looking forward to this game, mate. Trust me. Fab Hendo with Gakpo as a 10, with Nunez, Jota, and Salah. Obviously, Klopp did go with a slightly different formation against Real Madrid. But again, guys, we've got to remember, we've lost our last 2 games. We haven't played, or we won't have played for 17 days when this game does come around on Saturday. And we've lost our last 2 games to Bournemouth and Real Madrid. So, you know, change it up. That clearly didn't work against Madrid. Why will it work against a 3-man midfield of De Bruyne, Silva, and anyone else that you throw in there? To be honest, there's so many names. Gundogan is a Liverpool player, Steve. You just don't know it yet. Not sure about that one.
I think he's going. To be honest, I think he's going.
Not to Liverpool. He won't come to us. Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't like the weather in Manchester, he's not going to like it 30 minutes down the road, is he? Gareth saying, Big Steve, any thoughts on Rodri's sour grapes after the Scotland loss? Did you see those?
Yeah, he's just seen his arse, hasn't he? You know what I mean? He's just been beat off Scotland. He's been rattled a few times and they've been time wasting and frustrating him. They caught him in a mood. I'd probably be the same, you know what I mean? A bit of sour grapes there from Rodri, but it proves he gives a shit. But yeah, listen, they got beat off Scotland, so he's definitely got rattled by him. So yeah, it is what it is.
Jungle is massive. All Liverpool is very proud of you, Alex. Moved over here to pursue your dreams. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Nice comment, Nat. You don't always get the nice comments, but I love that one. Big up to you. Looked like Gakpo was playing 8 versus Madrid. Didn't have the best game against Madrid. And listen, you're only as good as your last game. City won their last game. We didn't. So there's everything to prove on Saturday. And we have to start big. We have to start well. As I've mentioned in the title, no win here since 2015. I think the goal scorers that day were Firmino, Emre Can, Martin Skirtle. So listen, a lot's changed since then. Trust me. Let's get into our score predictions then, Steve. You're going to be at the game, 12:30, early kickoff. City, even if they go 1 or 2 down, can still turn the game around. Whereas Liverpool, you just don't know what Liverpool is going to turn up, as you've said and as I've said. So how does this one play out for you, mate, on Saturday? What do you see happening?
I think we get the job done. I think we'll ride our luck a bit at times, but I think this isn't the same Liverpool team as previous seasons. I think we score an early goal and we just take the stuffing out of them. So I think it'd be 2-0 City. 2-0
City. Do you know what? Saying we're going to score an early goal really scares me because Liverpool have been doing a lot of that this season. I don't know whether, it's the early kickoff. Are we not awake enough to realise we're playing in the game? I don't know. But an early goal cannot happen. I think the longer you keep City out, the better. If it gets into the second half still 0-0, you never know. But that's obviously the kind of moments when he looks to the bench and brings on a Mahrez, brings on a Haaland, brings on an Alvarez, whoever starts that game. So as time goes on, you get more confident, but also at City, they can win in the last second of the game with the last kick. We know that. And will it be the 7-0 against Manchester United that turns up, or will it be the Bournemouth team? We don't know. Kay is going for a positive 2-2 draw. Nick is going for a 4-2 City win. I can see all the City badges in his picture there. City 1, Liverpool 2. Kevin De Bruyne, Salah and Van Dijk, says Gareth. 4-0 Liverpool. Again, Jen, this isn't United we're playing here. This is City. Also, what did you think of that, by the way, Steve? Because as a City fan, you must have loved it. I saw your stories ripping into them. But did you even expect anything like that? Because obviously I didn't either.
No, obviously with United, Liverpool, United, City, you don't, form goes out the window. But yeah, I didn't expect it. But to be honest, they needed it because they were getting far too giddy for the boots. They were getting so excited. They were like the only team in the world that's won a fucking Carabao Cup. The only team in the world that's won a few games on the bounce. And it was like, they just get giddy, man. So they got literally slapped back into a cave by the worst team you could possibly get a slapping off for them. So, yeah, it was funny. You know what I mean? I laughed. Listen, we were 6-1 up against them in 81 minutes at the Etihad. He took all them players off, brought them kids on. They got 2 back. We still slapped them for 6. They were talking about the Butcher. Pat Butcher was coming and all that to do Haaland in. Haaland fucking levered him. And then they were singing that song at Anfield. Who's that tiptoeing through the Kop end with a cleaver? Yeah. He's from Argentina. Then he gets smashed for 7. If I was them United fans, them Argentinian flags would be in the fucking bin. Yeah. And I'd never sing that song again because every time they've bigged this Butcher up, it's been slapped all over the place. He's the worst Butcher since Fred Elliott from Coronation Street. I tell you. You know what I mean?
Oh, God. I mean, he was looking the other way at some points. Literally.
Mate, they ignore that. But then in the next game, he'll fly into a tackle and knock it out for a throw-in, and they'll all start singing Argentina.
Yeah. No, it's a madness.
Mad bunch, them. Mad bunch.
He's like I said on DR Sports, he was no Butcher. He was getting passed around like a piece of veal in a Goodfellas movie.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Yeah. Haaland just decided that it was murder time. And then Foden did 2 hat-tricks against the Butcher. From both the young lads, both City fans. Yeah, it was good.
No, the Butcher's when the Butcher becomes the meat. Listen, it's always nice talking about United. That's where me and you both get on the same page. We just let it rip. Big up, everyone loving a bit of Big Steve in the chat here. 8-1, bring back the old City days. Pranav's there. I mean, was it Middlesbrough away? 8-1?
Yeah,
a lot changed since then. A lot has changed.
The context to that was Sven was getting sacked. It was his last game. Obviously, we've been campaigning to keep him, and the players just fucking hell, they didn't even care. Last game of the season, it was just embarrassing. Say again?
Was it Ben Thatcher, the captain that day?
I think Richard Dunn played. I don't know if he got sent off. I think Alano scored. That Alfonso Alvarez got 4.
Yeah.
There was a pitch invasion at the end. Everyone was on the pitch. It was just, it was a madness. United won the league.
078 was that?
I think it was 08. I think, it was a bad one.
No, it was a bad one. Listen, we've been there as well. Villa. It's not good, mate, is it? Couple more comments before we take it off. United fans peak too quick. It's like years of banter built up in their tiny little minds, and then they had to let it out. Yeah, and you know what? On behalf of Chelsea, City, Arsenal, everyone else, you're welcome for that one, because that isn't something that you can just wash off after a season, by the way. That 7-0 stays there forever. And we might be sad enough this season to go on about it the other thing that annoyed me is all these United fans out at me on Twitter saying, "Oh, well done, you've beaten United, you've won the We Beat United trophy." It's like, bro, you got battered 7-0. That doesn't happen all the time. This isn't something we just talk about for a day and then leave it. But then obviously it's typical Liverpool. We beat them 7-0 and then lose 1-0 to Bournemouth. So
yeah, that was mad as well.
Yeah, we were drinking 7-Up and then Cherry Coke very quickly that week. But there you go. Listen, Big Steve, pleasure to have you on, mate. It really is.
No problem.
Every single time I do content with you, it's always a pleasure. Listen, we have our little bit of banter, but we both know there's a level-headed fan there behind the camera on both sides. And listen, whenever you're next in Liverpool, We need to make
I'll
sure.
shout you 100%. I've got a few things to do there, so next time I'm there, I'll ring you 100%.
100%. We look forward to it, bro. Well, listen, make sure I've tagged Big Steve's channel. He's doing brilliant stuff on there, interviewing ex-players, being at the game, great content. I think you're just over 15K now on YouTube.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Just over 15, yeah.
So listen, make sure you get that man. He deserves way more than that. Make sure you get that man a lot more subs. And of course, subscribe to the Kop TV if you haven't already. I need to give my score prediction right at the end. I will go, why not? Listen, I've got to back my team. You're not going to hate me for saying it. I think 2-1 Liverpool. Why not? But then again, if we lost this 3-1, it wouldn't surprise me. But there you go. AGT and Big Steve on the Kop TV. Make sure, as I said, you go and check him out. Big Steve, go and enjoy the game on Saturday.
Cheers.
And of course, we'll see you next time. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Massive game on Saturday. Myself and Doyle will be with you after to give you an instant match reaction. But until then, take care. All the best.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Please, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Kop TV.
The voice of football's most